Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a battle that's happening right now, pretty much inside your own head. It's the war for your attention. We're going to break down why it feels almost impossible to focus sometimes, and more importantly, what the science says we can actually do to fight back and win.
If you've ever had one of those squirrel days where every single notification, every email, every random thought just yanks you in a new direction, you are definitely not alone. It's a feeling we all know way too well. But have you ever stopped to think about how much our focus has actually eroded over time?
So the hard data is, well, it's pretty startling. Research from Dr. Gloria Mark at UC Irvine shows this incredibly steep decline in our ability to focus. Back in 2004, we could focus on a single screen for about 2.5 minutes. By 2012, that dropped to 75 seconds. And today, it's just 47 seconds. That is a massive, massive drop, and it comes with some serious hidden costs. So what's the real damage of all these distractions? I mean, really, every single time we get pulled away from what we're doing, our brain pays this kind of hidden penalty, something researchers call the switch cost. Okay, get ready for this number. Dr. Mark's research found that after you get interrupted, it takes, on average, over 25 minutes to get fully back into what you were originally doing. Just let that sink in for a second. That quick, 30-second glance at an email can actually steal nearly half an hour of your productive focus. It's not about the interruption itself. It's the long disruptive shadow it casts. Right, and we love to praise multitasking, don't we? We think of it as this amazing superpower. But what we're actually doing most of the time is something far more draining. It's a state that researcher Linda Stone calls continuous partial attention. And the key thing to understand here is that this is not about productivity at all. It's this anxious, almost automatic state that's driven by a fear of missing out. We feel this constant pull to be a live node on the network, always scanning for the next update, the next piece of information. And that constant vigilance, it just takes a massive toll on our mental well-being. And check this out. This experiment really drives home the cost. When people were interrupted while working, they actually finished the task faster. But, and this is a huge but, they also felt way more stressed and frustrated and said the task felt much, much harder. Basically, we compensate for interruptions by rushing, but we end up completely burning ourselves out in the process. So this all sounds pretty bleak, right? But how do we fight back? Let's talk about our first antidote, a concept that a lot of people are calling the most essential skill for the 21st century. The term is deep work, and it was coined by Professor Cal Newport. It's simply the ability to focus without distraction on a really demanding task. It's that flow state where you're just completely absorbed. And this isn't just some nice, fuzzy feeling. Research actually suggests you can be up to 500% more productive when you're in that state. 500%! Now, to make this practical, we first have to understand that not all work is created equal. You've got deep work, the hard stuff that really moves the needle, like strategic planning or complex problem solving. And then you have shallow work, all that busy work, like answering emails and scheduling meetings. The goal isn't to get rid of the shallow work, but to stop it from completely taking over our day. And the data shows just how big this problem really is. On average, employees only get about 11 hours of truly productive work done each week, but they feel like they need over 8 more hours of focused, heads-down time just to keep up. That gap, that's where all the stress and burnout lives. Okay, but you can't just power through deep work all day long. That kind of intense focus is like a super heavy workout for your brain. It's absolutely draining. So just as important as the work itself is how we recharge. And it turns out one of the best ways to do that is also one of the oldest. This brings us to this really fascinating field of psychology called attention restoration theory. The basic idea is that the constant effort of forcing ourselves to focus just wears out our brains, and natural environments offer this really unique way for that whole system to recover. The magic ingredient here is something called soft fascination. It's when your attention is gently held by something interesting, but not demanding. Think about watching clouds drift by, or leaves rustling in the wind. This is the total opposite of what's called hard fascination, like a super gripping movie or a video game, which consumes all of your attention and gives your brain zero room to rest and recover. And here's the best part. You don't have to go on some week-long wilderness trek to get these benefits. A huge study found that just 120 minutes, so 2 hours, a week spent in nature is linked to significantly better health and well-being. That could just be a few 20-minute walks in a local park. It's an incredibly accessible solution. So let's put this all together. We've seen the crazy high cost of distraction, and we have two really powerful antidotes: the focused intensity of deep work and the incredible restorative power of nature. So how do we turn these big ideas into a practical, everyday toolkit? Okay, to build a routine for focus, start by just separating your to-do list into deep and shallow tasks. Then go into your calendar and block out 2 to 4 hour chunks of time for that deep work. And you have to defend that time fiercely. Squeeze all your shallow stuff like email into a few short dedicated blocks. And finally, and this one's tough, try to embrace boredom. Put your phone away and just let your mind wander a bit. And for recharging, here are a few quick science-backed wins. Dr. Mark says if you find yourself rereading the same sentence over and over, that's your brain signal telling you it's time for a break. A 20-minute walk outside is perfect, but honestly, even a mindless task like folding laundry can help reset you. Oh, and a simple phone hack. Bury those distracting social media apps deep inside a folder. Just that little bit of friction can make a huge difference. At the end of the day, the world we live in is literally built to break your attention. Research suggests most of us only have about 4 hours of true, deep, focused work in us each day. That time is incredibly precious. Protecting it isn't something that just happens, it's an active choice you have to make. Your focus is under constant assault, so the only real question left is, how are you going to defend it?